What's up, Matt from Urchfab. Today I'm going to be carrying on with the MX5 rear lower arms that we started in the last video. I've got the sort of main part of the arm cut out on the CNC plasma. But first I want to show you something cool which I got sent. This is from Phil at Miniature Manufacturing. He contacted me a while back asking if he could make me a little something. So these are some coasters, and this is done on a Haas CNC machine. Way too nice to put a cup on. Should probably have it on a big gold chain or something. I've got a few of these, so I think I'm going to give a couple of those away. I've been getting a few bits and bobs together for doing some giveaways. I've just hit 50,000 subscribers as well, so thanks to everyone that's subscribed. And yeah, I'll have some giveaways soon. He also sent me something for my lathe, a CNMG tool holder. Let me throw it across the room. So it's a different style of tool holder to what I've got, so we'll have a go with that. Got to make some more little bits on the lathe in a minute. And then sent me some cutting tips as well. So cheers for those, Phil. I will put that to use in a minute. And yeah, the coasters are awesome, but they're too good to use for coasters. This is what we got going on for the arm. This is 5mm plate. And then I've just put some kind of tab things on the areas that are going to have a you know, like a flat on them. So this will have a flat piece down here, flat all the way up around there, flat up there, hole drilled through there, threaded, like a threaded boss in there, which will get welded in. And then this hole is just to clear that when I flip the arm over, so I can weld it. If I didn't want to have that hole, I would have to have 2 jigs to get the job done. I'm going to make these little threaded bosses first. And this is going to be 25mm diameter, 22mm length, with an M12 thread in the middle. Alright, so I've got those. So that will go like that. We need our piece coming down here to here, this piece. So we just need to cut those, bend this, fit in here, bend there, hole in there, weld it all together. Job's a good one. That is almost
like a glove.
the only bit that I'm not happy with is this. I've got a gap here, got a 3mm gap at the top. So I've cut this one, wants cutting like tiny bit longer, but the whole piece needs to just be a fraction longer. Alright, bit of hammering and I've got that to a acceptable gap to where I'll be able to weld that up fine. So I'm gonna clean up all the weld areas and then we can weld it together.
Like a glove.
that is meant. The only thing I was worried about was that not fitting in perfectly the other way, because that basically means my jig is bang on, like exactly symmetrical side to side, because these bushes are all really tight and the pins just slotted straight in. So I know that my left and right sided arms will be like identical. So the only thing I need to change really is this piece here. I've got a bit of a gap there. It's I can get over it just by when I weld it, but that's the only piece that I'll actually change for the next arm. So I'm going to weld all this together now. These tubes have obviously gone a little bit out of round from welding. So I did the majority of this with the pulse MIG function, which is like a spray arc MIG. It's a quicker process, and it's supposed to put less heat into the part that you're actually making. But it doesn't like anything other than sort of like a perfect push angle. So when you're getting up into these little areas, it's actually not so great, and you've got to be moving quite quick with it. But for the long runs, it is really good. And the other thing is, I had to swap my torch out for a bigger torch because the tip gets really hot. And you have to run a higher gas flow. So I think, you know, cost saving in time, you're probably making up with gas anyway. So on the next one, I'm just going to do it all in standard MIG, and then just compare, see whether it's worth, you know, switching from one to the other for it. The other thing is the bushes getting stuck in the ends. I think if I do just enough welding around the collars to where I know it's not going to move, and basically get the bushes out before I put too much heat in, and then just finish weld them with these out, then that should be fine, as long as I've got the main structure of it all welded in the jig on both sides. The rest of the structure is going to hold all this well enough in place to where it's not really going to move much. But one thing is, it definitely feels quite heavy, so we will weigh it and see what it comes in at. 3.7 kilograms. They feel about the same. Oh, that's 4.1. 400 grams heavier. But I think I could definitely make it equal to that just by doing some cutouts, cutting out some slots, make that a little bit bigger. Now what I've got to do is put all the bushes back in and put it all back in here again, because I haven't done the anti-roll bar tab. So it still fits in the jig pretty easily, so that's a good sign. Yeah, so all I need is something coming off of this side to that. when I did this one, I left a lot of the welding around the tubes until after I'd removed the aluminium doodads, and that was much better. Just they came out really easily, and then I stuck 2 in each and just made sure it went in the jig after again. My scales seem to have stopped working, so I can't weigh this one to see if it's any less. Obviously it's going to be a little bit less, but it really doesn't actually feel any lighter, but I'm not overly bothered, to be honest. They're almost the same weight as the factory one. It'd be nice if they were the same or a little bit lighter, but I could probably work on the design a little bit and get it to that. But yeah, for a first attempt, you know, stuff like this, you normally finish it and then look at it and work out a better way of doing it once you've finished it, which I'm kind of already doing at the moment, but for a first go, I'm happy with that. Great success. A few comments on the last video. People were saying, had a few people say that my anti-roll bar mounts and shock mounts were now going to be 12 millimeters further inboard, which is correct, they will be. That's the whole idea of making everything shorter. I want to bring it all back into where it would be at factory position. So as these come up, obviously it pushes everything outwards when you lower the car, and then I'm just bringing it back in, so that is the idea. So this shows visually the difference between the pulse MIG welding and the just like short circuit MIG. I did the whole of this one short circuit, and yeah, the pulse definitely sort of lays in there a lot nicer and flatter and faster. But you need to run a bigger torch with more gas. Like moving forward, I probably would pulse all the long runs, and then in the same way I did this one, take the bungs out and then do all the little sort of hard to get in parts just with the standard MIG, because it's only a flick of a switch on here if you're running a big enough torch. This is a machine, MP200, and from Inverter Fusion, they're helping me out with like welding supplies and stuff, which is much appreciated. So go and check out their stuff if you're looking to get a welder. Like this is the difference visually. You can see it's kind of got a bit of a crown on it, whereas this is the pulse, and this is like lays in there really flat. Another thing I'll say about the pulse MIG is like when you're welding, you know it's going in there. Whereas with short circuit MIG, sometimes it can be a little bit like difficult to see what's going on. I'll probably just drill this one out to match that, rather than cut another one. I made this cut out a little larger as well, just to try and get the weight down a little bit. I'll get some paint on these and then take them over to Matt's and bolt them on. That was a good little project. That's the sort of thing I enjoy, so I'm happy with that. So yeah, it's going to be it for this one. Cheers for watching. See you on the next one.